Hi guys, my name is Elsie.
My name is JT.
Welcome to the F1 Debate Show. Now, in this episode, it's a massive episode, and we're going to talk about Daniel Kvyat and Max Verstappen. They're trading places within this season in Formula One. Now, I'll just give you the rundown if you've been on Mars for the last few weeks and you haven't heard the news. Red Bull's Daniel Kvyat and Toro Rosso's Max Verstappen have traded places, which means that Daniel will be reverting back to Toro Rosso and Max will be promoted to Red Bull Racing alongside Daniel Ricciardo. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about should that have happened and weighing up the pros and cons for both drivers. You know, was it harsh of Daniel to be moved down? Is it a positive for Max to be moved up? And what's happening? Obviously, the biggest thing is that this is going to happen with immediate effect from the Spanish Grand Prix onwards, which is the next race on Sunday. This weekend. Through the rest of the season. Now, this is a very, very, very rare thing to see, and it's just a shock. I mean, this almost happened overnight, and a rumour came out first, and then obviously there was a few times where people were going, is it true? What's happening? Then it was confirmed, and then this was a shock, wasn't it, JT? I mean, it was such a shock for Formula One, wasn't it?
It was. I mean, obviously, it's like you said, there was rumours going about, like dodgy sources and what have you, going around on social media. And then I've seen it on Sky Sports. Whenever I see something on Sky Sports or BBC, I know it's true.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's no fake source. So when I seen it, I was gobsmacked. I was like, what's going on here? Like, one bad race and the second.
I know.
There's something a lot more to this than just a little incident that happened in Russia.
Yeah, exactly. Now, me and JT were talking the other day, and we very much think that it is like a fallout in the team or something like that. Now, obviously, it happens in other sports, for example, like football, when a manager has a disagreement with the board or a player has a disagreement, normally they're gone. And has something like this happened, for example, when Alain Prost criticised Ferrari and was sacked in the early 90s? Has something like this happened? But JT, what do you think?
If I'm honest with you, I don't think we'll ever know because it's with the media keeping everything hush. Maybe Red Bull and what do you call him? The head guy at Red Bull. What do you call him again?
Or Dietrich Mateschitz.
I think he might be given a bit hush.
Yeah.
He might have done something. But I really don't know. But we will try and break it down as the episode goes along.
Yeah, we will. Yeah. So Daniel Kvyat, let's get the right driver here, has had a good start to the season. Remember, he podiums in China behind Sebastian Vettel. Now, obviously, let's start with that race first because apparently he's had two run-ins with a driver and minor crashes in the last two races in the season. In China, he collided with Sebastian into the very long right-hander swoop, the corner one in China at the start. Sebastian Vettel still finished the race on the podium, but he wasn't happy. He said that Daniel came at him like a torpedo, didn't leave him enough space, subsequently meaning that Sebastian was hit and then also hit his teammate Kimi Raikkonen. And then we go to Russia, where it's a bit more serious than China. Well, in my eyes, there wasn't even really a crash or an incident or anything to get to get worried about. But Russia, he hit him twice, and then subsequently made Sebastian spin off into corners. I think it was corner 3 into corner 4 in front of the Daniel Kvyat grandstand. And was out. Very colourful language. He then went to Christian Horner and complained. And then from that, we've seen what we have seen in the news, that Daniel has moved back down. So at Spain, in the Spanish Grand Prix, he'll be moving a few garages to the right, is it, all the way back down to Toro Rosso. Back in his old team, where his reputation, not only his career, JT, but his reputation and his confidence even. Do you think that's had a massive? I mean, we know his career at the moment has had a massive hit because he's back to a sister team. But do you reckon his reputation is now fell? Because I think that it was at a high, such a high, because he came off from a podium in China, his home race, which obviously he still did, as a Red Bull driver, probably in a better shape. And I remember in the preview, me and JT were saying that Daniel Kvyat, this was. He probably wouldn't have a better chance to either go and win or podium at his home race. So about his reputation. His confidence. I think that it's an all-time high. And then now we heard this news that this teenager's going to be replacing him at at Red Bull. Sorry, he's going back to Toro Rosso, and I reckon it's hit the floor. JT, what do you think of that?
It will definitely damage his confidence as well, because it's like, well, if I'm going to do one little incident within any team I am, especially a top team like Mercedes or Ferrari, then it's going to be like, well, they're just going to send us back down the grid again.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit like a similar sort, well, not a similar sort of situation, but a same type of thing where when Perez moved to McLaren, when Perez had a brilliant season in 2012.
Yeah.
And then he goes to McLaren and it damages his reputation a little bit. This is what a similar sort of thing, except obviously Perez wasn't as serious as what Danny Kvyat is.
Yeah.
But now he's going back down the grid, whereas obviously he was moved up, now he's going back down. This is going to be like, well, it's only going to damage his confidence. It's going to damage his sponsor's confidence. It's going to damage like wherever he goes. Like if he goes back to Toro Rosso, maybe Toro Rosso were nervous. It's like I'm not too sure about this kid anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had full confidence in him, and now he's just done whatever he's done, and now he's gone back down the grid, and it's like, I'm not 100% sure what's going on here. But obviously Perez saved his reputation, just obviously well done to him.
Yeah.
And well, Danny Kvyat can do the same. Obviously, it remains to be seen. He's
Yeah.
got until the end of the season. But I think Max Verstappen going to Red Bull. This is 2017's race seat. I think. I'm sorry, Danny Kvyat, but you're not going to get that race seat back.
Yeah.
Even if Danny Ricciardo were to leave, he won't be going back. I doubt he will.
Yeah. Now I know, JT, you're a massive Max Verstappen fan.
I am.
Now let's flip the tables from talking about why Daniel's had it taken from him in a harsh. The word harsh has been used a lot. It's probably the word of the day, word of the week, because that has been
Word of the week, harsh.
word of the week harsh, because people have been saying that this move is, well, for him in Daniel's eyes it's harsh. But let's move on to Max Verstappen, JT, because I know you're a massive fan and you want to talk about, and you are incredibly excited. Obviously, we're in Red Bull at the moment. I'm very excited. JT's very excited. Everyone is excited. His dad's excited. The Netherlands is happy. Very excited to watch this guy, this 18-year-old, this guy that's younger than me and JT, as we've said in other videos, which doesn't make us feel good. I never thought that, JT, I'd see a driver younger than me for a good 5 years, 8 years, something like that. But anyway, sorry, we're going off tangent. How good for him and also the Formula 1 community, JT, is this move up to the brother team, where he's fulfilled his goal. He is now at the top of Red Bull's hierarchy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is a massive thing that both me and LC have both talked about, whether if Max Verstappen would, get promoted to Red Bull, would it be an upgrade? And, I mean, obviously the Red Bull, as we all know, is capable of finishing on the podium.
Yeah.
Max Verstappen has that ability to finish on the podium. So it will be very, very interesting to see as to what, he can offer to the team. And obviously going to a track like in Spain, where obviously Red Bull has a good reputation there, and also obviously with a driver like Max Verstappen, a very, very good quality driver who has the ability to win championships in the future. And I'm excited. I'm very excited to see what he can do. See how well he does with the pressure as well.
Yeah.
Because obviously he's jumped up massively from like a year and a bit in Formula 1. He's now at the top level of his ranks in the Rebel team. So if the pressure might get to him, then we might see Max Verstappen wobble a bit like Sergio Perez.
Oh yes,
also,
yes.
So this is sort of a Perez situation.
Yeah,
but
could be.
Two drivers, not one, because Perez was expected to do well at McLaren, but a bit like hitting Kovalainen.
Yeah.
He had a good season, then it goes to McLaren, had a bit of a turbulent season, damaged his reputation a bit like Perez.
Yeah.
Let's hope that that this kid doesn't drop or anything.
Yeah.
If he has a good season, he maybe even wins a race, then I think this is a good move for not only Max Verstappen but Red Bull.
Oh, very much so. Yeah.
For their decision. So obviously, as like I said, only we'll find out in the future to see what will happen. But I believe that. I think we are going to see something very, very special from now till the end of the season, definitely.
When you use Sergio Perez's example, JT, obviously Daniel Kvyat going to... Now, I don't think he did bad in Red Bull. He did very strong.
He didn't.
The 2015 Hungarian Grand Prix was obviously, which was voted the most eventful race of 2015. Probably.
Oh, yeah, because I don't think any Mercedes finished on the podium.
They didn't know, and very, very fun. And then yeah, both Red Bulls made an appearance. Obviously, Daniel Kvyat was massive because he was a new driver. So obviously he went from Toro Rosso to Red Bull. If you're gonna compare him to Sergio Perez, JT, do you think he'll do better at Toro Rosso the second time around?
Second time around, possibly, because I mean, obviously the car is quick enough to be
Yeah.
able to go in like some Q2 and Q3.
Yeah,
So, but obviously, it's not quick enough to be on the podium. So, if he starts getting point scoring top 10 finishes, and I believe, Red Bull, I don't know what they'll do, but I believe that other teams might look at Danny Kvyat and go, you know what, he's still a talented driver.
Yeah.
He couldn't cope with the pressure because obviously it was his debut season in 2014. Comes into Red Bull straight away, replacing Sebastian Vettel.
Yeah.
He's just got really big boots to fill from a
Yeah.
four-time world champion.
Yes, of course.
And obviously the Red Bull isn't as quick and wasn't as powerful. And I remember towards the end of the 2015 season, he was getting criticised from Christian Horner, and he was saying, "Look, Danny, you need to up the pace a bit," which he did. From I think it was Japan onwards, because remember he had that weird crashing. I think it was Q3.
Oh yeah.
Where he flipped off, he came off the dog and flipped, and that was when a bit people were like, is Danny the driver we all thought he was? But at the end of the season, he did quite well. Obviously retained his seat. In 2016, he had a good start. Got on the podium already, so we were like, right, brilliant. And now it's tables have turned almost like you said, Elsie, overnight.
Yeah.
And, it's really, really baffling, right? It really is baffling.
It is. It's.
But no, I mean, he might do well the second time round.
Yeah.
Like we said, time will tell. I mean, Carlos might be like, well, screw you. You might be Red Bull, but you don't face me. I'm going for this.
I know. But in the other sense, obviously for Daniel Ricciardo, the other Daniel at Red Bull, the only Daniel now at Red Bull.
Let's not forget Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah, he's now the leader. He will feel like Sebastian did. Well, when it was Sebastian and Daniel in 2014, obviously that was a massive gap between Sebastian and Mark. There was definitely a hierarchy of Seb at the top and Daniel wasn't. Even though obviously even midway through the season, Daniel had 2 wins going into the summer break. And then obviously clinched his third just at the end of the summer break in Belgium. So even going into the summer break with 2 wins, he was ahead of Seb. But obviously now Daniel will be he was the leader when Kvyat was there, but he is now most definitely the leader of the team. And especially now he's with Max, like 5 years older than him, something like that. Obviously he will definitely go out with a bang and to show him, like how Seb did with Mark even. Obviously even in 2009, Seb's first year with Red Bull, he definitely showed Red Bull what he was made of. That's what obviously Daniel Ricciardo needs to do with Max. But there's so much potential with Max Verstappen, isn't there?
There is definitely, but I think what we're seeing here, what's unfolding like the event, I believe that it's going to be a little bit like a Sebastian Vettel situation. Because when he was coming through the ranks, obviously when he won with Toro Rosso, that was like amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously before that, when he stood in for Robert Kubica, he did quite well.
Yeah.
And so obviously Red Bull favoured him. They were like, he was the favourite. He was the golden child.
Yeah.
Because this kid was going to be the next big thing. A bit like what Max Verstappen is. And I believe that Red Bull are doing the same sort of thing. This is the golden kid. This is the next big thing in Formula One. We want to look after him. We want to, he's our favourite. Whereas Carlos Sainz has been sort of kicked away in the dust a little bit. It's like, I'm not bothered about you. You're just there to, for another drive, that type of thing. Whereas Max Verstappen is like, you're the next world champion.
Yeah. A bit like Seb when Red Bull, he was probably most, even back then, as the world champion in the future.
And now, how crazy would this be? Is if Max Verstappen came into Red Bull, obviously came into Red Bull into Spain, and at the race, and say for example, you got Daniel Ricciardo in 3rd, say, Verstappen in 4th, and Christian Horner says, right, Ricciardo, move out the way. I want Max Verstappen through. How controversial would that be if that were to happen?
That would be.
Oh, that would make headlines.
I mean, I wonder. I think you might be right, JT. If a situation comes like that, I mean, it is a difficult situation for that. Obviously, even for example, when we saw obviously at Red Bull, they definitely favoured Seb more than Mark. Obviously, unfortunately, especially unfortunately for Mark, even for Malaysia 2013 when we saw that, they were definitely favouring Seb even on and off the track. But I mean, there's two. Yeah. What you said, JT. There's 2 minds you could think about. You could think, well, Daniel's the leader. He's the most. He's a bit like Seb was. He's probably going to guy to get points. But then obviously, Christian Horner will now want to see. He'll want proof, 100%, 110% proof that Max Verstappen can perform. Because if anything, I mean, do you know, at the end of the day, I don't even know who's made this decision. It sounds like it's just been like it sounds like a kid's just rushed the decision and no one's been told. Has Max even been told, or was he literally just at home, and then he was just like playing Xbox with his dad, and then he just got the phone call that just said, "You're at Red Bull."
I believe it was one of those situations. I believe Max Verstappen would have been aware
Yeah,
that after that race, Danny Kivat would have been like, he would have had talks.
yeah,
Obviously, we didn't know that he was going to have talks straight afterwards. It just sort of was like firework. It was late. Next thing you know, it's in the end, it was gone up.
yeah,
You know, like from nothing, and it was like rumours circled. Then all of a sudden, obviously, the main headline came out, and so I believe Max was aware, and I believe maybe Jos was aware, and obviously Toro Rosso was aware. Obviously, but then again, who's I don't know who the main guy is at Toro Rosso. Is it Franz Tost?
Yeah.
Franz Tost, and Christian Horner, and Matt Shitz and everyone. Helmut Marko would have all had a meeting and discussed of what's going to happen. About, right, we're going to get rid of Danny Kvyat. Do you want him back?
yeah,
Everyone said yes. All right, we'll have him back. And then obviously we said, right, obviously we want Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
And things like that. But there's also, you could also look at this as another perspective, just because of what happened with the incident.
yeah,
What's going on in terms of Toro Rosso's financial status? Do they need Danny Kvyat to stay put? Because I know obviously he's got big Russian investors.
Yeah.
And now it just came out this week that another Russian investor is just came with Danny Kvyat to Toro Rosso.
yeah,
So maybe there's some sort. Maybe obviously we all know that Sauber and Force India, they're on a bit of a turbulent in terms of finances.
Yeah.
And I would imagine Toro Rosso are no different. And maybe they're more serious than what everyone thinks. So obviously, again, they're keeping it on the hush because there's Red Bull, you know what I mean, and that type of thing. They've got, obviously, you've seen Toro Rosso's kit. They've got quite a bit of sponsors for a big team. So maybe they'll be like, right, we'll take Danny Kvyat off your hands. We'll have him. You can have Max Verstappen. We'll have him, and we'll try and stay with the team a little bit. And that could be the case. Obviously, that's, you never know.
yeah.
We're trying to look at it out. We're trying to think outside the box.
Because we want to think. We don't want to think it's money.
One thing, we think, right, let's try to think outside the box. What else?
Yeah.
Let's not just jump right. Danny Kvyat did that, and he's sacked because of that. Let's be realistic about this.
Yeah, I know what you mean. We're thinking outside the box, as JT said, and we don't want to think it's a financial game, because Formula One's getting consumed with finance and like in politics. I mean, that's even in the since the mid 80s. That's what Ayrton Senna said in the mid 1980s. So that's, you know what, JT, that I say that could be the reason. We don't want to think it's financial. It's good that we've got Max and Daniel that's hitting the headlines, but it's most definitely financial. Let's move on to another thing which I want, because the thing is, I mean, there's loads of things obviously in this topic that you can't get your head around. So why has Daniel been kicked out? Well, not so much. Well, yes, kicked out, because I mean, if the word harsh is going to be thrown about, and he has, because as a guess, because I'm not Daniel Kvyat, but he will be sitting at home in Russia or wherever he'll be, and he'll have just got the phone call that he'll have moved back to Toro Rosso, back to his sister team, and I mean, that will destroy his confidence. But why? Because there's been drivers in the past, for example, well, the biggest example I'd say is probably Rubens Barrichello, and then after that you've got like Giancarlo Fisichella, Mark Webber even, and then, you know, who have been at big teams for many, many, many years, while their counterparts, while their teammates have been either succeeding or doing well, better than them even, and they haven't. Obviously, for Rubens Barrichello, for example, at Ferrari, when Michael Schumacher was dominating and he was on top and he was showing that he was a strong Ferrari driver, Rubens really wasn't. I mean, they had a lot of 1-2s, but still, Giancarlo Fisichella alongside Fernando Alonso, he wasn't. And then more recently, Mark Webber. Now, Mark was a fantastic driver, but he was really outshone. His time at Red Bull was, I'd say, too long without a world championship. Now, Seb did. Seb got his first win in Formula One and his first win with Red Bull before Mark Webber got his first win in Formula One altogether. And then, obviously, a new boys came in, 4 world championships, left. Mark were left with Seb there, but I mean, I'm not saying Mark Webber's not a good driver, and I'm not saying that Fisichella wasn't a good driver, and I'm not saying Barrichello was a good driver. They were all great drivers.
They were
But this is obviously the first example of what's wrong with this. Now, Daniel hasn't. He's been in Formula One for one season with he's been in with Red Bull for one season and 4 races, and in that time he scored a podium at the 2015 Hungarian Grand Prix, and then more recently at the 2016 Chinese Grand Prix. Very strong, but in that time, what were people expecting him to do, JT? That hasn't been. I mean, in the past, what are people in a season and 4 races? What's the dream to do in a season and 4 races realistically?
Well, obviously, win a race. That's the main thing that Danny wants to
Yeah.
do. But Red Bull don't have the pace. So obviously, podiums in second places and good qualifying is the only good thing that they can do.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that Red Bull are definitely, Christian Horner and everyone else is definitely aware that, right, we haven't got a car that can compete with the Mercedes, but Ferrari on the other hand is struggling.
Yeah.
So we can get close to them and we'll see how, we'll give them a bit of a fight.
Yeah.
Then it'll make us look good, because we've had a bit of a poor season for the past couple of years. We haven't really challenged anybody at the top. Whereas now, the car is better this season. It definitely is. It's probably the best car they've had, in the V6 era.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So if that was the case, why wouldn't they give Daniel Kvyat more of a chance? Because in the 3rd race of the season, he scored a podium. He's beaten Daniel Ricciardo, his teammate, and obviously many people in the pack who haven't had a podium yet.
Yeah, but definitely because obviously, as I said, the car's loads better. Danny Kvyat is a very talented driver, so there has to be more to it than just a little incident. Fair enough. He hit Vettel twice. Well, 3 times in 2 races, causing a DNF, which was it is a bit of a frustration. It is a bit of a come on, Danny Kvyat, you've been in Formula 1 for a good couple of years now. You need to book up your ideas and stuff. But just a second like that. I mean, Roman Grosjean passed Maldonado.
Yeah.
Why didn't they get rid of him?
Roman is a massive one. In 2012, he was having crashes left, right, and centre, and his massive one, which scored him a 1 race ban for Italy. Obviously, his massive something like 10-second crash in Belgium, and then he scored one of the only one race bans that's ever been in Formula 1. So yeah, JT's right. When they got to Singapore, or even after the Belgian Grand Prix, obviously over Italy when Roman wasn't there. And also as well, he crashed in France. He crashed in Monaco earlier in the season. He crashed in Suzuka. Yeah.
He went in the back of who was it? John Verne, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, it was Jeff.
Yeah. So that's a massive point. Why? I mean, obviously, what Daniel did compared to what Roman did was small.
What Grosjean did. Grosjean obviously caused the crash, hit Hamilton. Hamilton's been hit Alonso over Perez. Grosjean Hamilton over Alonso.
Yeah.
Perez as well, the crash. That was it. And so he could have caused deaths. He could have literally killed someone. And he got a 1 race ban. Danny Kvyat hits Vettel, spins into the wall. Vettel, fine. Everybody fine. There was an incident just before that. Comes into the back of Vettel, hits him. He's fine. He gets kicked out.
I know it's
so frustrating.
Sort your lives out, guys.
Everything. It doesn't add up. There is something more.
Also, what JT said, I mean, they could have caused death, which obviously is the most important thing. But even everyone came out unscathed. But also, he took out Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton. Obviously, more importantly, Fernando Alonso, who was a championship rival. And, JT twice. And, we're not going on about Roman and Fernando, but Roman hit Fernando twice, which were controversial in Belgium and then Japan, both taking him out and scarred his championship, because basically they would have gone to Brazil. That means, I think, Fernando had to win the race, Seb had to come 5th. But if Fernando finished the race in Belgium and finished the race in Japan just mid-level in the points, he wouldn't have had to win the race. He might have had to finish in the points, a bit like Seb.
Yeah.
And it's more likely, JT, we could have been sitting here and talking about Fernando Alonso as the 3-time world champion.
Both them 3-time world champion. Yep. Obviously, criticising Vettel a bit, perhaps. You never know, depending on how the situation was.
Yeah.
But going back to that, as like you said, LC. Obviously, Fernando Alonso was a massive title contender at that point. And up to the Belgian Grand Prix, he'd score points every single race.
Yeah.
I believe it went about him to Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton retired, and he was the only driver to score in every single round. And then he got obviously crashed out in Belgium. That didn't him. A couple of races later, come to Japan, he gets crashed out again. But also, if you remember, Grosjean hit Mark Webber.
Yes.
He went in the back of him and spun him as well.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, guys. This kid needs to calm down.
I know.
Then obviously, the start of 2013, he was a bit like,
Yeah.
that type of thing. And then he improves. And then 2014, he was a more experienced driver. 2015 as well. And obviously, he showed it in 2016. So
Yep.
Romain Grosjean has improved.
Yeah.
But that's not the point. The point is that obviously, like, basically, what's going to happen to Danny Kivat? How is he going to redeem himself?
I don't know.
Like, what does he has to do?
I mean, it don't.
I don't get it.
I'd say don't crash JT, but as you've said with Roman, and then obviously more Pasta, but Roman's definitely in 12 or more severe.
Yeah.
If those crashes, if those crashes in Monaco, in Belgium, in Suzuka, where else did he crash? In 2012. It's probably more, but you know what I mean. So
was more, I don't know.
yeah. Well, even obviously the minor and the major
Even
ones.
qualifying,
Yeah.
also Monaco as well. He crashed 4 times in bloody Monaco.
Oh yeah.
And so there has been a few incidents.
It's unbelievable. I don't even know
He showed
why.
promise, but then in practice and qualifying, and stuff,
Yeah.
a bit like, was it Ronald? No, actually might have been Pastor Maldonado in China, where he was going. It was Pastor Maldonado, sorry, where he was going into the pits and he turned too wide and hit the barrier.
Oh yeah.
Crashed out. It was like, I think it was 2014. It was like, what the hell? That was simple. That's
Yeah.
simple, faster.
So let's go to something that JT said earlier on in the video. He said that there might have been a disagreement. Sorry, not even a disagreement. There could have been a fallout. There could have been, not a fight, but there could have been a bit of squabbling at Red Bull. Because, as I said, for example, in football, that happens quite a lot. If, obviously, I mean, the board of directors who own football teams, I mean, then, obviously, the managers are small to them, and then, obviously, the players are even smaller. But if there's any disagreement to the board, obviously, they're gone. So, JT, 2 questions. 1, do you think this would happen? And 2, why do you think it didn't hit headlines? Because it's not like this has to be a big cover-up. I'm sure if there was a fallout, they would tell us in the media. But still, though, do you think this could be the reason? And what do you think's the more to it, this happening?
Well, as like I said before, it could possibly. Obviously, there is a likely chance of a fallout. There is a likely chance of financial trouble over Toro Rosso. I mean, obviously, we don't know. Obviously, that's what they're hiding from us. They're hiding something from us, which they don't want us to know. Which is a bit strange because, as like you said, they would definitely tell us if there was a fallout. And if there was fallout, what was it over?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I mean, it was Christian Horner said that he was going back to Toro Rosso, to try and develop his skills, to show his potential. Well, hang on a second. He showed his potential in 2014.
Yeah.
You said that he was going to be a big thing. You signed him up to replace Sebastian Vettel. After all, you've got loads of other drivers,
Yeah.
not only in your ranks, but also on the grid about 2013 time, coming in 2014 coming into 2015.
Yeah.
And now you're saying that he's going to show his potential elsewhere. I don't get it, mate.
I don't know. It's very strange.
I would pretty much confirm that there is something as big, more, as I said many times in this episode, more to it than meets the eye.
Yeah.
And whether we'll know or not, I don't know. They might release some sort of statement that might say
Yeah.
there was a little bit of disagreement happened at the Russian Grand Prix, but that was about everything was calm afterwards. We agree with Toro Rosso to let Danny Kvyat go back. But the media might turn around and say Danny Kvyat wanted to go back.
I can't imagine that. Why would he want to go back? Because I don't know. It's just a scale of things. I mean, Red Bull's the top.
So if the media say that Danny Kvyat wanted to go back, then it's like,
I know.
there's something more to it.
But that will be the talking point for the whole weekend. Even before to be honest, this actually might be juicier and more entertaining than the race and the race weekend.
It is. I think this is taking the limelight away from the race.
Yeah.
It could be one of the best races of the season, but we'll see. This is the 2015 Spanish Grand Prix was probably one of the most controversial races, like in modern Formula One.
But it will be fun to see two drivers on the grid, JT. It'll be fun to see Daniel back in the Toro Rosso, but more importantly...
Do you know how I was saying before that if Ricardo got told to move out the way for Max
Yeah.
Verstappen, how mad would it be if Danny Kvyat hit Max Verstappen?
Oh, other way around. It could be.
If that had happened, right, if Danny Kvyat actually hit Max Verstappen, I'll walk out the room. I'm going, what's going on?
I might cry with joy. I'll be like, that is...
What's going on?
To be honest, I mean, does Formula 1 want that? Because I know a lot of people said after...
I want to see that, see what actually...
I would love... Do you think that there might even be an actual fist fight in the pit lane? No, there wouldn't be, but oh my god.
A bit like what Schumacher in, was it?
Dale Coulthard, yeah.
And I remember in 2006, I think it was... I can't remember.
Was it Fisichella came into the pit lane?
Jack Villeneuve and...
Fisichella.
Because he blundered him on his qualifying lap. He was going to go for him as well.
Katie, I remember saying that. Yeah, he came into the garage and he's probably squaring. The only thing that saved him was probably because he was actually sat in the car with his crash helmet on. Obviously, you don't want to punch him with one of them on.
Give a damn. No.
But and also as well, if that happens, JT, wherever Seb's going to be, I mean, in the car, if he's driving in the car, you'll just get a big smirk on his face. He'll be like, "Yeah, I'm not the only one." You can see what I'm like. But I didn't think he was like that. And also as well, it's just incredible to think. I mean, Roman's crash in Belgium 2012, was not a racing incident. But if anything, China definitely was. Definitely. And then Russia, it could have been. I mean, it's already been said that what actually happened going into turn 3, obviously the very long 161-degree turn, in the Olympic Park. It's already said that. I think it was Perez had a puncher and Seb actually tried to move out the way, obviously lifting off the throttle. So technically Daniel ran in the back of Seb, but I don't know. It's a racing incident. It's unbelievable thing. I would love to hear what you guys think out there. What you must think, because I mean every single Formula 1 fan that's heard this. I mean, like people. So I was talking to someone the other day who isn't a Formula 1 fan, but he knew he knew all about this. The first thing he said to me when he said, "Have you heard about Max?" And at first I was thinking, Max who? I don't have any friends called Max. But he knew exactly what this was, and this is a massive. So as JT said, this is going to be, even before the first car actually gets on the track in FP1 on Friday, this is actually, do you know what, JT? They voted Hungary as the most thrilling race of last year. We could vote Spain, even before it's happened, we could vote Spain the best race of this season.
Definitely. I hope it throws up some controversial. Because I think if it was, as like I said before, like if Ricardo would have moved out the way for Max, or if Danny Kvyat would have run in the back of Max Verstappen, then I think this would be one of the probably most controversial, not only of 2016, but probably even more controversial, just as controversial as Prost versus Senna.
Oh yeah.
In '89. So
JT, one of the last points on this, in this boiling topic, is that obviously in terms of points and even podiums. I mean, by the way, we're not talking about Rosberg. He's going after number 8. He will get number 8.
Rosberg won the title.
But we'll talk about that obviously. We'll talk about that in tomorrow's Spanish Grand Prix preview. Make sure you catch that. But obviously it's two questions interlinked. What happens if Max outscores Daniel, and then what happens if Daniel outscores Max?
I think it'll be worse if Danny outscores Max, because then Red Bull, then he's just basically stuck 2 fingers up at Christian.
Yes, but he'll want to.
But if Max outscores Danny, it's not going to cause much of a stir.
Yeah.
It's like, well, this is what Red Bull's like. Well, this is what we expect.
But he'll definitely have proved what he's worth.
But if Danny generally does score, that's the third point if that happens. So we've got Ricardo moving out the way for Max. We've got Danny Kvyat running in the back of Max Verstappen, or Danny Kvyat outscoring Max.
I want that to see. I want to see. It's all these things that could happen, and it's also as well. It's good that
all 3 happened.
Oh wow.
We'll be on here in like 2 hours.
Oh god, there's no getting us off.
There will be no review. It will just be Max Verstappen versus Danny Kvyat 2.
It's mad.
So here's a question for you, Elsie. Is this Rush 2 in the making?
Yes, very much so. They haven't fought yet, but they will do. And also as well, I mean, there's one thing. I mean, I'm not sure what Max will be thinking because he's safe. He's on. If anything, people have protected him. But Daniel is now. His vengeance will be. He'll hate the world. He'll hate Red Bull. He'll hate them with the passion, JT. He'll have all of his Red Bull clothing in his room. He'll probably put on some Metallica and he'll be ripping it all up. He'll.
If I ever see some pictures on his social media, on his Twitter or something,
Oh, I'll cry.
He might have like a beer and he's got like a little fire going in the background with his family, like family.
He's ripping them up.
That's his Red Bull gear right there.
Oh.
God.
Well, if anything, they've just traded clothes. I mean, isn't Max wearing a Red Bull shirt? Because he's been in Milton Keynes. I mean, there's videos online on the Red Bull.
He was there the next day.
He was. How much of an insult is that? I couldn't believe that. I mean, he only lives obviously across the sea, across the channel from the UK. But still, even if he lived halfway around the world, or the Red Bull guy halfway around the world, he would be. And also as well, JT, he'll have come to Red Bull in a cap, in a t-shirt, Red Bull, and in the back it'll say property of Deke Fiat, don't touch.
How good would it be though if you had a picture of Max Verstappen, right, and he's sitting in like Danny Kvyat's chair and it's just like, he gets Christian Horner and mug saying, "I heart my bosses."
No, what he'll do is, JT, there'll be a little Tupperware box in the fridge with Daniel Kvyat's lunch in for the next day. And then Max Verstappen will post a picture on Facebook, send it to Daniel Kvyat and like, look, I'm eating your sandwich. I'm eating your lunch. I'm eating your special.
Danny Kvyat might have some sort of OCD problem, so he's got like his sandwiches in triangles and he's got his crisps in perfectly. I have either sweets and colour coordination. Max Verstappen's just going like that. We're poking fun of Daniel Kvyat. Oh no! I mean, actually, do you know what, JT? Just in terms of poking fun, who's the one person in modern day Formula One? He's not in Formula One at the moment, but we still taunt him. No, Pastor Maldonado, man. We do. We respect him, but back to Pastor. Yes. The funniest thing. The funniest thing I saw, JT. One of the funniest memes I've ever seen in Formula One, probably in my life, was after the crash in China. It said something like, I've forgotten who made it, so obviously I'd give you praise. It said something like, whose fault was the crash? Sebastian Vettel, it's like 15%. Daniel Kvyat, 40%. Kimi Raikkonen, again, something like 10%. Pastor Maldonado, 70%. I love that. I've seen another one where it's a picture of Danny Kvyat. He takes his mask off, and underneath it, Pastor Maldonado.
Oh, there's loads. There's the Star Wars ones, JT, where it's like Yoda, Pastor Maldonado's Yoda, and we'll share some of the best ones on Facebook. And if you have some you want to make, send us some, please. I've got to say though, I mean that Pastor will be happy because we've got someone to poke fun at now, but I don't want to. I mean, I like Daniel Kvyat. I always did, and actually, thank God, I bought a Daniel Ricciardo cap, JT, because. Well, actually, I think Daniel Kvyat's were like cheaper, so it's a good job I didn't mind. It's a good job.
I wonder what Red Bull will do about that. They might get a refund or something like that.
I can't imagine they would, because I mean, this has happened. I mean, it's very rare to see it in season, but no, I mean that's happened before. I mean, technically a year for sports clothing is very, is very rare. And obviously, if
I mean, Red Bull might make some Max Verstappen merchandise.
Very very soon, I imagine, JT. Actually,
I might get one. Actually, the thing is though, I was talking about this DLC. I was going to get a Max Verstappen cap
with Toro Rosso.
With Toro Rosso. Now that would have been my look. I would have got it through the post. I'd be like, yes, brilliant. I would have got like a limited edition one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's really good. So I was like, yes. Next, right, I'll tell the news. Max Verstappen has left Toro Rosso and got Red Bull.
I know.
Back on eBay.
It's mad. But I've got this, and I'm supporting Max Verstappen. So technically, JT, I'm supporting 3 drivers in the 2016 season so far: Ricciardo, Kvyat, and now Verstappen. So I mean, this is mad. But now though, JT, it's unbelievable to think that when we started this channel, we were within the 2016 season. Technically, if you count pre-season is in the season. No, it's not in season testing, but you know what I mean. We're in the year 2016.
Pretty much covered
So we were talking about Max Verstappen at Toro Rosso, and then we were talking about where's he going to go only a few weeks ago, and now we know
That's
JT.
a scary thing.
There's been no Christmases, there's been no New Year's, there's been no transition into another season. So technically, he's been in 2 teams already, and we're not even at round 5.
That's crazy. I think it's absolutely pointless doing a driver roulette circus. Whenever it comes to Belgium, when there's rumours going about. Pointless doing a video on that. This is the bee's knees. This is the big thing.
But I wonder though. I mean, this would be incredibly stupid for Red Bull to do, but I guess at the end of the year, though, JT, as you said about Belgium onwards, it's normally obviously for this season it might be like the Japanese Grand Prix, the Malaysian Grand Prix, races like that. The end of the season. So I guess that all 4 of those drivers, so obviously Kvyat and Sainz at Toro Rosso, and then Verstappen and Ricciardo at Red Bull, they're not all out of the they're still in the danger zone in terms of moving, because I guess at the end of the season this doesn't secure both drivers. They could still move. We could see Verstappen moving, probably not, but we could.
Exactly. I mean, you might obviously there's rumours about Kimi Räikkönen moving. Obviously to go to endurance racing or rallying again, or I don't
NASCAR.
Know, you never know. Kimi Räikkönen NASCAR might happen, or IndyCar, whatever IndyCar is, whatever that is. And obviously Max Verstappen, he has been linked, but whether he will go there or not because of what's happening now, I don't know. There's a chance. I mean, to be fair, obviously, I don't know if his contract is. Well, I believe it'll be till the end of the season, won't it?
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, unless he signed a few years, but yeah, it's never been said.
It's just up till the end of the season.
Yeah.
So whether obviously I don't know how long he's got left on his current Toro Rosso contract. So whether Red Bull will buy him out of that,
I'm sure,
sign him up after the 2016 season, or he might go back to Toro Rosso next season for another year.
Yeah.
Finish his contract, then he might go off.
That's another good point, JT, that you've brought up. I mean, I know obviously Toro Rosso and Red Bull work all sort of together. Obviously, they were both owned by Dietrich Mateschitz and Red Bull. They're multinational cooperation in Austria. But obviously, yeah, you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, they're still 2 separate teams. And you're right, JT. Max Verstappen's contract hasn't ran out. So technically, he has to have been signed for this season for Toro Rosso. He has to be, because he has to be. So even if his contract ended for the end of the 2016 season, and then he'd be a free agent. I mean, I don't know if you can call him that, but then he'd be available for the 2017. And if he hadn't been signed, he'd be out of Formula One. So technically, yeah, Red Bull will have had to have bought. Well, I don't know what they'd do with Daniel's contract.
They would have done some sort of money agreement to get Max Verstappen.
And if money's tight, then why would they do that? Again, that's another thing. Why is Max Verstappen?
Unless Toro Rosso have just sent Max Verstappen saying, right, we'll do a trade. You get Max, we get Danny, but we'll get sponsorship money and stuff like that to help the team out.
Maybe it's a bet.
Because obviously, it's Mateschitz, that's both of his teams. They're his kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He wants to help as much as he can, but obviously he can only do so much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he's got his little minions and stuff to deal with his finances and stuff like that. But obviously, like I said before, financial troubles is getting to the better of Toro Rosso, and by bringing in Danny Kvyat, then obviously Red Bull, unless, as I said, Red Bull have bought Danny Kvyat's Max Verstappen's contract, given Toro Rosso some money.
Yeah.
And then as well as on top of that, some Danny Kvyat's sponsorship money. So
yeah. It sounds like they have to. It sounds like they'll have, again, a bit like other sports. They'll have bought out Max's contract, and also I'm sure I don't have to, but again they'll have had to have done something with Daniel Kvyat's contract, because he'll have been signed for the end of at least the 2016 season. So it's mad to think. I think the main. Sorry, JT, go on. I was gonna say, I think the main point is about this is just why what's. This has been done so fast, and so there's been no rumours to talk about it, JT. That's it's almost like just a strange decision by everyone. I mean, Max has been promoted, unless do you think he just doesn't feel like it's an act like. For example, obviously when Mark Webber won his first race at Nürburgring in 2009, he said that he wanted to have a race where he won on his own terms, because there's been times in the past where again he'd been offered like wins and podiums and all that. But he said he wanted to win it on his own terms. So Max
Yes.
Max will have wanted to go to a new team on his own terms. Do you think now that he'll feel a bit like disheartened? That he didn't probably earn it, because if anything, they've just kicked out a driver and then thought, who can fill it? Or hang on, will the best driver at Toro Rosso, or the one that we're all excited about, Max Verstappen?
Yeah.
So do you think he thinks that he didn't earn it?
I believe. If this was his first season in Formula One, I don't believe Red Bull would have went for him. They might have went for Carlos Sainz,
Yeah.
because obviously he would have been there the longest. So I believe I believe Max Verstappen had worked for this. Obviously not as long as what we anticipated.
Yeah.
Obviously we get to see what he could actually do with a smaller team. But now he's gone into a bigger team. We're going to see what he really can do.
Yeah.
And if he does prove it, good, then obviously it was a fantastic decision by Red Bull. But I believe Max Verstappen would have obviously I don't know how he reacts and stuff, but I believe that he would be happy about this. He's earned it. You know what I mean? He's had obviously some really good drives. Hasn't had a podium.
Yeah.
He has shown potential. You know what I mean? Monaco last season was a fantastic race. Unfortunately, crash out. Then obviously he's overtaken Blanchimont.
Yeah. Yep.
In Spa, that was fantastic.
It was great.
Overtaking the decade. That was amazing.
It was good.
You know what I mean? So signs are there. Not Carlos Sainz, obviously.
I see what you did there.
Sainz was there, but I will laugh every time I say that. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. So if I'm honest with you, but I believe Max Verstappen would be very, very happy about this.
Yeah.
Obviously, Danny Kivat won't be as joyous as Danny Kivat.
The signs from Daniel Kvyat are that he's going to be joining Sainz. I'm not as good as you, JT, but
You've been planned that, haven't you?
I've been, the wheels have been turning as you were talking. But right, that is gonna be the end of this topic. There wasn't much in the paddock, obviously because of probably they didn't want to, didn't they? I know.
Oh, by the way, I will mention this little thing. It's nothing major. You will say, but expect the Force India to look a little bit different this weekend, because they're bringing some very radical upgrades that they were saying in the FP1. They said that it's going to be a bit of a tight schedule to try and get them in. But obviously, as we all know, Spain, first race of the European season. This is where we see upgrades, vital upgrades.
Yeah.
Obviously, no one better to upgrade the Toro. Not Toro Rosso, we talked about them all episode. Force India, because obviously we were expecting them to do well. They haven't done as well. Bringing some upgrades, and they're bringing some. They said some radical changes. So expect some aerodynamic changes.
Yeah.
And the car look a little bit different in Spain, but apart from that, that's the only thing I can say.
Yeah. Speaking of the cars looking a bit different, it hasn't been released on the proper F1 site yet, but I have been seeing and I have been reading about Red Bull Racing, obviously, again going to Aston Martin next year. That is looking very, very good. I've seen the pictures of the car as well, obviously what might be on the side. Aston Martin would be great to come in. And also as well, JT, just as a quick side note, I'm not sure 100% that Max has more investment, from obviously from the Netherlands and the companies that sponsor him compared to Daniel. But if this is going to happen, this Aston Martin deal, both Aston and then Red Bull will need a hell of a lot of money. They will need a hell of a lot of backing. And maybe that's why they did it. Maybe they thought, well, Daniel's fallen through, Max is. Well, again, when it comes back to you, JT, we don't want to think about it, but at the end of the day, Formula One is very much political, and it's about money, and it's mad. So that might.
You've got to think outside the box when it comes to things like this.
Yeah.
Because you can't exactly just blame one certain topic.
I know.
You've got to think like, well, it could be this, and it could be that. And that was a good point that you did bring up, LC, obviously, because Aston Martin have got to deal with Red Bull, and both me and LC have been saying all season that obviously Aston Martin might do some sort of deal, engine deal, perhaps, or maybe even buy the team at some point. I don't know what will happen, and that's why they're there. And obviously LC said that they will need some very good financial backing, and maybe Max Verstappen might provide that. Maybe they're doing it for the future. But if they were to do that, I don't think they would do it now, because it's only 4 races in the season.
Yeah.
It's still got a long way to go. But there's also the long-term plan of obviously get him in now, get the financial, get the experience now before the end of the season. So you can look at it that way. But I mean, obviously we'll never know.
Yeah.
If I'm perfectly honest with you. But that was quite impressive.
I know it was. It's mad to think about that. Anyway, so that'll be the end of the F1 debate show, which has been solely about Max and Daniel.
Oh yes.
So just a few points to mention after this. We hope you enjoyed, obviously, all the videos that we've put out at the moment. We had a few comments under Raikkonen v Hakkinen, which was F1 Decoded episode 3. This was from the F1 for Life YouTube page, YouTube channel, and that was again similar to what we've had before about like the facts. Saying it was a good video, so thank you very much. But also about the facts. Now, obviously, we try incredibly hard, and we will get 100% facts. That is the sole aim of the F1 debate show, to fill it with facts and everything like that. So
Yes.
we do apologise for that, but we will get everything
I
off.
mean, obviously, me and Elsie, we both talk quite a lot on
Yeah.
camera about how we can improve, how we can do this. The structure we've got now is something that we are very proud of and very pleased that we are keeping up until we can learn. Because me and Elsie, for our age, we're not really like as technical as what the top guys are. You know what I mean? So we're still learning, and obviously we were saying that yes, we have got some facts wrong. People have pointed that out, and we still need to start. We're getting on a bit now. We have been on here for a good couple of months now, and we need to start being more professional, being more getting our facts right, make sure everything's right, and stuff. And I believe that I believe that this is one of the best episodes we've recorded.
One of the best, yeah.
If I'm honest, we've been fluent, we've been honest, we've been this.
It's the best topic. It's such a controversial and massive topic.
We love talking about things. Obviously, there will be weeks where there'll be nothing to talk about, so we'll do a random video.
Summer break.
Hopefully, this is something that we can, continue to do.
Oh, they will, yeah. I'm sure, JT. I'm sure, as you said, Max and Daniel, like episode 2, episode 3, episode 4, that will happen. At the moment, it was Daniel v Seb. That never really took off. But yeah, Max, that might be our another. It'll be different.
I cannot wait for this one.
It will be unbelievable. Obviously, please catch us tomorrow for our Spanish Grand Prix preview show. The first race in Europe. Well, we'll mention it will be unbelievable. We will definitely be seeing them in different colours, because now obviously Daniel will be back in his old car. Max will be in a car that he's never been in before for 18. I mean, that is unbelievable.
He's at the Spanish Grand Prix with a team in full constructors championship, and we're here talking to you.
I know it's mad. It's absolutely mad.
We would prefer to be here.
I know. And God, on another topic, JT, how weird will it be for like JB and Massa and people like that who are like in the mid-30s, and then they'll be looking down and going, "What? We're not competing we're not competing against someone who's like 20 anymore, 21, 22. He's 18. He's 18, and he's been in Formula 1 since 2015.
How old was Sebastian when he won a race? Was he 21?
I think 21, yeah.
So obviously he's still got a good few seasons to become the youngest
Yes.
private race.
Yeah.
Obviously he's youngest to compete, beating Alguersuari, who I can't remember who did that. 2010, I think. And so yeah, obviously he's already beaten that record. So he could beat loads of records. The youngest guy to win a championship, the youngest guy to win a race, to score a podium. That type of thing.
Yeah.
So there's going to be some.
He's got a good few years.
And if he does hold their basic records of winning a race, getting a podium and stuff, then let's hope he can continue with his success by winning, 7 or more championships. Because I believe if you get this guy in the right car at the right time and get him to his full ability, he's unstoppable, and he can become the most successful F1 driver of all time.
Yeah.
He can beat Michael Schumacher, I guarantee. It's like I said, put him in the right car.
The last thing. Sorry, I keep thinking of these. The last thing I'm going to say, JT, is obviously there's different spots in the world that age obviously factors in. There's been, for example, obviously like running and cycling and swimming and things like that. Cardio, being older and being like more experienced in the sport can help. But then on the other hand, obviously sports like football or soccer, if you're younger, you can have a massive effect. I never really thought that age would play into a factor. I mean, for example, we saw Felipe Massa. I think he was 35 or 36 when he won at the Italian Grand Prix last year, which was obviously his last race win. Sorry, not his win. Sorry about that. His podium. And then he said on the radio, he went to Ross Bentley, he went, "Oh my God, I'm too old for this. I'm too old for this." And they went, "Rubbish, not too old, mate." So I never thought, JT, that age was a factor in Formula One. You know, you do better if you were younger, or you do worse if you were younger. So will that help? Max being 18, and that's what, like, I don't know. Well, it's 12, 13 years younger than people like JB and Felipe FM. Will that help?
Oh, help it massively, definitely.
Yeah. Right, guys, that will be the end of that. If you have watched this whole episode, the full 55 minutes or whatever, we thank you very much for that.
We appreciate it.
We do.
Stayed this long.
We do. You are our great audience. We hope you enjoy this video. We hope you enjoy every single video that we put out. We are getting some good feedback. We are getting some good likes. We are building our audience, so thank you very much for that. Please join us tomorrow for our Spanish Grand Prix preview, and then on Friday for F1 Decoded Episode 4, which is the Battle of the Britons, Mansell v Hill, which is great.
Damon Hill. Not Graham Hill, Damon Hill.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes. Sorry, Damon Hill. Yes, of course. Grim Hill will be following when he will battle the Lake Jim Clark, but that's in a good few weeks' time. I know JT's very excited about doing that one. So we hope you enjoy everything we do. Or like the F1 for Beginners, which, by the way, JT, feels like about 10 years ago, doesn't it? F1 for Beginners. If you like that, if you like this, and if you like F1 Decoded, which is like a mini series, like a spin-off to this. If you like that, please, just tell us anything. Even if you just want to pop up to us and say, how's your day going, or tell us about your day, whatever. Just do anything.
Tell us your opinion on Formula One.
Yeah.
Tell us your history about Formula One. How did you get into Formula One?
And also, yes, that would be a great topic, JC. Thank you for bringing that up. If you talk about, because we'll be doing that, we'll be telling you how we liked Formula One and how we got into it, because obviously it was very much similar. And
do a random episode or something. Just explain how we got into Formula, how we know Formula One and stuff. So.
And obviously, more importantly to this episode, what do you think about Max and Daniel? What's your opinion? What's your view? It's a massive topic, JT, and we've rambled on.
Red Bull? Can you tell us?
We've rambled on for a long time about this. So thank you very much for watching this episode, guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.